xCloud's ready to launch, but is Stadia even a threat? Tomorrow, or by the time you're watching this, xCloud, or as Microsoft likes to call it, cloud gaming will be generally available. And what that means is that if you have a device that it works with, and you're in a country that it works with, and you have a subscription that it works with, you can play cloud gaming. And so that just means you can stream games from the cloud to your Android device and enjoy the content. The question becomes, how is Microsoft going to compete against Stadia? Or maybe potentially the better question is, how is Stadia going to up its game to really compete with what Microsoft is offering? But first, sort of the news. Cloud gaming is coming tomorrow, and Microsoft is delivering 150 games. 150 games available at launch, and this does not include EA Play games. Now, you might be wondering, Microsoft just announced that EA Play is going to be included in Game Pass Ultimate and all that jazz. And what Microsoft is saying, by the holiday, which is meaning like Christmas around that time, the EA Play game should be in cloud gaming as well. So the number is only going to go up. It's only going up. And Microsoft obviously is including all of their first party launch titles day one availability into cloud Game Pass Ultimate and cloud gaming. It's really hard not to say xCloud, because if you say xCloud, you know exactly what I mean. So that is a big deal. Microsoft is coming out swinging for the fences, and they've got a very strong and healthy offering. And more importantly, it's sort of just an added bonus, if you will, because a lot of people are going to be paying for Game Pass Ultimate to get into, well, Game Pass, right? That is the deal where you can go and play all those different games available on your Xbox console, including next generation consoles. And then cloud gaming is just kind of like, here you go. This is a nice little hoof right onto the table of offerings. And it really is a good value if you're going to be getting into gaming and you don't have a large back catalog. Game Pass Ultimate is definitely the way to go. Now, Stadia, which is a Google product, and we've talked about it a lot here, came out of the gate really early. And honestly, their technology is not bad. I don't think they have a bad platform. And quite candidly, I hope Stadia never goes away. The thing that's going to push Microsoft service forward is going to be from competitors like Google, who have a large budget and technical infrastructure to make this happen. And that is what's going to push the gaming industry forward. That's why we need Sony and PlayStation 5. That's why we need Xbox Series S and X. That's why we need the Nintendo Switch and all these companies pushing, because we, the consumer, are going to win. But Stadia is in an interesting position because they said that by the end of this year, they will have over 100, and I believe it's 120 games that have come through the service. Now, I'm not sure if that means 120 games have come and you can actively play them, or because sometimes games show up and sometimes games go away. We will see. I think that does mean, though, that you will be able to play or have access to over 120 games, which, again, is not nothing. I mean, that's a sizable catalog as well. Microsoft, spitballing here, should probably have at least 175 games or something like that. So it's not like Stadia has 3 games and that's all you can play. Now, you can definitely make the argument that Microsoft might have better AAA shooter games or whatever your genre is. That aside the point, Stadia is charging $10 a month for their service, and that's all you get. You can play it on your laptop, you can play it on your phone, well, sort of on your phone, depending on which device you have, and of course you can hook it up to a Chromecast and play it on a device like this. I think the big advantage that Stadia has right now is that is quite frankly just a little bit more versatile than what Microsoft is offering with cloud gaming, specifically on the PC, which is really odd that Microsoft hasn't made this generally available yet, that you can play xCloud on your laptop or through a browser. I think that's the big advantage that Stadia has right now, is that those lower end devices, lower end laptops, Chromebooks and all that stuff, can access Stadia and play high quality games right on the device that they already have. And this setup, in my personal experience, a laptop is a better playing experience than a Chromecast on here, here being the TV behind me. I personally like it that way. Now, why isn't Microsoft doing this with cloud gaming? They have the capability. The app kind of sort of leaked for a little bit, and where you could actually access the service, but it's not available. So as of the recording of this video, right now, Stadia is more versatile, but xCloud has more games, and xCloud is by far the better value, especially if you have an Xbox console. It's not even a question. If you have an Xbox console, why you would go to Stadia, I don't understand, unless you specifically want to play certain games on a laptop or a PC. So that is the Stadia advantage right now. And it is $10 a month, so technically it is $5 less than what Microsoft is offering. And the nice thing about these services is that if you have a controller, you can already just sort of jump in and out as you desire, which is really, really nice. You're not locked into long-term contracts, so that's a win for both of them. So the question is, does Google have enough courage and muster and support behind the platform to keep going now that Microsoft service is generally available? We have realistically zero insight into how Stadia is doing right now. I poked around with some developers, and the news wasn't really it wasn't good about the usage stats of games that have been ported over to Stadia. Now, I'm not saying that Stadia is going to collapse and go away. It's just that when you look at what Stadia has in terms of user base compared to the more established players like Microsoft or Sony or all that good stuff, it's obviously it's heavily outnumbered. The question is we need to understand how Google is thinking about Stadia internally. Are they happy with where Stadia is today? They're not going to come out. Of course, they're not going to come out and say, hey, we think it could be better. It's actually not meeting our expectations. We don't quite know what Google's expectations were for Stadia. And so that is the big unknown in this whole equation, because there's obviously, once Stadia launched, there was a lot of hey, Google has this kind of churn and burn mentality that if it doesn't work out, they're just going to shove it away. And then, that's the end of that story. We don't quite know. And obviously Microsoft has a much longer history in the gaming space, not to mention a significant back catalog support. They've really shown some genuine effort to support older games and everything on newer platforms. So I think Microsoft, from a monetary perspective, if you're getting into the gaming world, is a safer bet than Google Stadia. But the question is, Google Stadia is a little bit more versatile, and they've got to go big. The thing that I'm keep waiting for from Stadia is they need some sort of blockbuster hits that are going to drive people to that platform. Yes, they've done good deals with Destiny, and we also saw PUBG in there, but that was not a great experience completely. We're waiting on that blockbuster moment for Google to really turn the corner with Stadia to make it something that people want. I don't like to use this analogy, but you'll understand where I'm coming from. When the original Xbox launched, they had the original Halo, which was a huge win for the Xbox brand. I'm waiting for that moment with Stadia. So that is going to be the thing that we need to be looking for. Google is investing in games. That's not the question. The question is how are they going to get that constant stream? I mean, look how much money Microsoft has spent to not only bring cloud gaming and Game Pass to fruition, but also the investments in studios. They've got over a dozen studios that are working on games, which gives them, even if it's not your type of game, at least a relatively steady flow of content coming out every so often that is exclusive first party to Microsoft platforms. And, that could mean the Xbox console or PC, because again, Microsoft wins in both scenarios. So the question becomes how does Stadia manage to latch on for the long term? Microsoft is launching xCloud or cloud gaming tomorrow, and you'll be able to get it on the apps that you're already using in the places that already worked in the beta. No, it's not going to work on iOS. Yes, Apple did change some rules, but the rules were dumb. The updates basically said, it completely ruins the whole point. It says, yes, these cloud streaming services can work, but they're not really cloud streaming. They have to put the whole game into the App Store, and then they have to get approved in the App Store, and then you could download them on your device. That doesn't work, because that completely mitigates the entire technology stack of cloud streaming services from everybody, except for obviously some of Apple's offerings. And it doesn't, that model is not going to work. And I find it hilarious that it even got any sort of weight behind it, because if you have to go to the App Store to download the game into xCloud or cloud gaming, it's already ruined. That experience is ruined, that you just scroll to the game you want, hit play, and there you go. Anyways, cloud gaming launching tomorrow, part of Game Pass Ultimate, already included. You can get your first month for, I believe it's $1 or $14.99 per month. After that, Stadia is available now for $10. It's going to be good. I think Microsoft has a good offering, and it's only going to get better. And the fact that it's not their primary mechanism for delivering games should allow it to sort of mature in the background, if you will. Obviously, you can go out and play it, and I've played quite a bit of it, and it's been pretty good, but it's only going to get better from here on out. And Stadia is hopefully only going to get better on here on out. And the best thing is, as a gamer, you are going to win.